Well, I know it's been a minute or two since I've put out a video, but I've just been really pretty busy with everything. I want to talk real briefly about this 1978 Honda CB750F Super Sport of mine that I actually bought close to 10 years ago, on the nose, from a farmer turned pilot in upstate New York. He was kind of a really cool guy. But he was getting out of riding, and this was really before Facebook Marketplace for the most part. This was a Craigslist deal. So I had gone up in the winter with my father in a trailer and talked to the guy for a while, and I bought it and loaded it up. It wasn't running because he had let it sit, and fast forward 10 years, and it's still not running. I had this in my garage at home for 10 years since I bought it. And I finally decided to bring it over to the shop because it's not doing anybody any good sitting down in the cellar. What I did do to it when I first got it, like most motorcycles that sit around, I pulled the carburetors off and cleaned them, at least I thought I did, and rebuilt them and put them back on. And I could get the bike to start, and for the most part idle, and I did my best to synchronize them, which you really need to do with, multiple carburetors on an engine like that. But since there's four, it's real sensitive to that. So I synced them, and it just never ran right. The idle would kind of run away on you. It would get warm. You'd go up and down the street or whatever, and the idle would hang at 3,000 RPM, 4,000 RPM. And you had to put it in gear and kind of let the clutch out with the brake on and kind of get the motor to slow down. And it just irritated me, which does happen with projects. And I didn't touch it again. And that's kind of not like me to do that, but that's what I did with this. So for 10 years, this thing was just on a kickstand in the center of my garage at home, collecting dust and God knows whatever I had put on top of it. But anyway, I moved it. Now I really want to get the thing to run right. And what I suspect the problem is, and probably is a fault of my own, but when I took the bank of carburetors off, cleaned them and rebuilt them, I didn't break the bank of four carburetors down into individual units because it's a total pain in the ass to do. There's a lot of linkages and there's a lot of tough springs, and the thing can kind of just explode on you, and it can be a nightmare to get it back together and everything to work in harmony. But what I think happened is because I did not break them down, and I cleaned the set of four as a whole in an ultrasonic cleaner. I think that the throttle shaft seals and the choke shaft seals kind of disintegrated from being submerged in the parts cleaner. Now, I've cleaned banks of carburetors like that before and not had this issue. But at least from what I'm understanding, and there's not a lot of documentation about this part without taking them back out and breaking them down, but the throttle shaft seals are an O-ring and the choke shaft seals are more like a felt disc. And neither of those are items included in a carburetor kit, nor can you look them up and buy them. You kind of have to match them. And in the case of the felt seals for the choke shaft, I think I'm going to have to make them with a set of gasket punches and a sheet of felt. But anyway, that's what needs to happen. They need to come out, and I need to figure out, where that runaway idle is coming from, where the air leak is, what the actual issue is with the thing. But that aside, it's got I guess 18,000 miles on it. Not a lot. When I did get it, the exhaust, as most of them do, had a big rot hole in the bottom from condensation. And call it timing or luck, but I was able to find a nearly new old stock muffler on eBay. This was, again, about 10 years ago. and somehow won it and got it. And it wasn't astronomical. It was a couple $100, I think. But relatively speaking, most of these you see on the F model with the 4-into-1 exhaust no longer have the stock pipe because it rotted and you can't find them. And even on the K model, which I have one right over here, most of the 4-into-4s are gone. So it's nice to have the correct exhaust on this. Recently had the rear caliper powder coated and the bracket and rebuilt the piston and seal in there because that was bound up on me from sitting. I had rebuilt it 10 years ago when I got it. The front calipers are still in good shape. I did rebuild those and change the pads. Cosmetically, it's in really, really nice shape, with the exception of some peeled paint. On these Super Sport models, Honda used some kind of semi-gloss, high-temp coating on the engine cases, just on the Super Sports. And it doesn't really fare that well. So when I have the carburetors off, I'm going to mask this, most of the engine up, and see if this product here will let me blend that in so it doesn't look like that. I really don't want to pull the engine out, strip it all down. It's not, it runs, when it does run, it runs fine mechanically. So that's it. That's kind of the winter thing, even though it's probably only going to take me about maybe a week or two to hopefully finally straighten this thing out and get it running 100%. All the expensive parts that these things usually have issues with are good. The tank is good, the inside is perfect, the seat is good, and both the side covers are not cracked. All the tabs are there. So, pretty lucky with that. And the guy, like I said, was pilot. He actually flew Learjet, and he was Tom Brokaw's private pilot. So, as an homage, I'll be changing the keychain over to that. He was a really nice guy. But anyway, that's just a quick video. That's kind of one of my latest things going on here. And I'll talk to you soon.